Kai Mokoia Kapai, the waters of Mokoika Hikuaru, the great serpent with 8 tails.
Kia ora.
The river. Oh, you want me to
Stop
keep
there.
going?
Okay. Come a bit closer. Come a bit closer. Kapai. Okay. Now this park was erected by Auckland Council, and it talks about this river being known by 2 names. So for my neighbours over in Howick and out in Maraitai, they know this river as Te Waio Taiki. 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 Can we all have a go at saying that?
Te Waio o Taiki.
Te.
Te.
Wai.
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 O.
O.
Taiki.
Taiki.
Taiki. Now Taiki was a passenger on the Tainui canoe when it came here. When the Tainui canoe moored at Karaka Bay, Taiki was one of those 2 people that I refer to earlier on as going inland to search, to do a bit of a scout mission. So Taiki, along with Taikehu, was sent down the river here to have a look. Ngai Tai, their name is derived from their ancestor, Taiki. Some debate that they are named after Taiki, others debate that they are named after Taikehu. Others say that the 2 names are the one person. So, you know, it does depend on who's telling the story. Just like me, everything that I'm sharing today is told purely from a Ngāti Paoa perspective. It is not from a kia ora, sir. It is not from a Ngai Tai perspective. It is not from a Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei perspective. It's not told from a Ngāpuhi perspective. So everything that I've shared today, even about Hongi Hika, that's told from a Ngāti Paoa worldview. Now his Hongi Hika's people may have a different vision, and that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. Okay, we can agree to disagree, and we can agree that, you know, whoever's telling the story, well, then it's been told from their perspective. So, Te Waio Taiki is the name that our neighbours Ngai Tai refer to the whole river as being. Now, from a Ngāti Paoa perspective, the river, we know the river as being Te Wai Mokoia. And so, I think it was in the 2nd sentence it says, and others know it as. Well, I'm the other, because the Ngai Tai have been named as knowing this river as Te Waio Taiki. I see how Auckland Council, even Auckland Council, fails to recognise properly, you know, which name belongs to who, or which name is used or recognised by who. Kapai? And that's a tactic by council. Divide and rule. Ooh, I hear a lot of ooh going over here. But you know, these are, you know, these parks here share information, but again, it's from whose perspective. Because the tangata whenua of this land are only recognised as being others. Come on, Auckland Council. Now, it does refer to the 8-tailed serpent, tanipa, which is something that both tribes can agree with, because both tribes came on the same canoe. Both tribes, we can trace our ancestry back to people who came on the same canoe. So, for Ngāti Paoa, we know this river as being Wai Mokoia. And Mokoia being, anyone? Mokoia being the Mokoia being the name of our fortified pa. Makoia. Makoia being the abbreviation of Moko Ika Hiku Waru. Ka pai? Now, there are a couple of battles that happened here, and one was when Ngāti Pāoa joined forces with one of our other hauraki iwi, Ngāti Maru, and in two waka taua, or war canoes, we went out here, out to the mouth of the river, and we were faced by 100 Ngāpuhi waka. There we go again, that name, Ngāpuhi. Oh man, we're always going at it together. Ngāpuhi and Ngāti Pāoa, Ngāpuhi, Ngāti Pāoa, Ngāti Pāoa, Ngāpuhi. Now, what I forgot to say also was that Hongi Hika, and our rangatira Te Hinaki were fourth cousins. That's what I forgot to say. Aye. So even though when I say that Ngāpuhi and Ngāpuhi, you know, we actually whakapapa to each other as well. And that's why we're always at it, because we, you know, family love, family feud. Now down here, our tupuna went out in two war canoes, Ngāti Pāoa in a waka called Te Kahu Mauroa, and Ngāti Maru in a waka called Te Tai o Te Puruhi. Te Tai o Te Puruhi. We got out to the mouth of the river. Ngāpuhi were there assembled in their waka, and our people employed a war strategy called, it's a feigning type of feigning war strategy. Anyone know what that word means? Feigning?
Yeah, when you feign an attack, like a pretend attack.
Oh, is that feign?
Oh,
Like Sinn Fein?
Yes.
Oh, like when rugby. Is that feign? Oh,
F-I-D-N.
okay.
F-E-I-D-N. Well, I say feign.
Well, I'm not an English teacher, so I don't know. Well, however you pronounce it. They employed that tactic. In Māori, we term that feigning action as manu kāwhaki. Manu kāwhaki. Kāwhaki. Or in other dialects, kāhaki. So, our two waka went out, they saw that they were outnumbered, they retreated, and they came back here. They left the waka out here, and they left all of their goods inside the waka. So when Ngāpuhi came down to the sand spit, Tāhuna Tōrea, they got off there, and then they came down here. Some stayed down in the bay here and started scavenging, taking the goods that were left behind in the waka. Another group came up on the hill here and went around the back there. You might just want to move over, bike cyclists coming, and then our rangatira attacked them and done a pincer movement. So Ngāpuhi were defeated in that battle. So all of this waterfront here, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of marae, as in Māori we term it marae, and there's a lot of bloodshed that took place down along these foreshores. Ka pai? We are going to go over to the paddock there, and there are two entries onto the paddock, but we're going to go to the second gate and then walk over into the paddock, not too far, but just a little place there. So I'm going to share some more up there. Ka pai? Let's try and beat the race. Included in our treaty settlement. So the purpose at that time, the community were worried that their green space would be taken up with housing. And so the national government wanted Ngāti Pāoa to build houses here for our own people, but also half of the housing that was going here would we sold off in private ownership. Now, our negotiators went back to the Crown or the Treaty Negotiations Office and said to the government of the time that if you tried building housing here, it would chill, as well as financial redress. At that time, Ngāti Paoa's settlement was being negotiated at 29 mil. It was going to cost Ngāti Paoa 30 million to put in the infrastructure to build the housing here. So we weren't for it. We weren't for it. Now come along the Labour government, and then the treaty settlement changed for this part here. But how it sits now is that all of this land here, from Elstree Ave, where the half-court basketball court is, all the way to here, and right down to the front there, all of this is coming back to the tribe. And we are going to build a marae here. So similar to how our neighbours Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei have their marae up at Ōrākei, Takaparafau, we are going to have our marae here. And we haven't had a marae here since the 1800s. And so hence that was part of the community's concern, was that they never heard of us. They didn't know who we were. They thought that we were some Johnny-come-latelys, outsiders, coming into their community, into their lands, taking their land from them. But we weren't. They didn't understand our story. They did not understand our story of displacement and confiscation. So over here, all the way down to the waterfront, back down to the Elstree Ave there, this is going to be the site of our marae. A marae consists of a meeting house, a dining hall, ablution blocks, and other things. What we also want to implement here is a school of navigation, a navigation school for waka, because Ngāti Paoa are seafaring people. We are coastal people. And so what we would love to have here is something similar to what Hector Busby had up in the north. A school where Māori can come, and anyone can come and learn about how to sail reading the stars. Ka pai? And that would be, and that is something that we would love to offer the schools as well, as a part of an education pathway. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. I'm wet, you're wet. Let's get back on the bus. The area here is called Te Whanake. Te Whanake. That is our name, our Māori name, and Ngāti Paoa's name for this Point England Reserve here. So the fields here, over on the paddock there, this whole area here is called Te Whanake. Can everyone say Te? Te. Whana. Ke. Now whana means to kick. So it's a movement, it's a doing word. Whanake means to move forward. Ka pai? Now that name was taken from a lot of the battles that took place here. Now also, I forgot to mention that before Hongi Hika and his 2,000 toa came down to Mokoia Pa, they camped out here. This is where they camped out. Now also, with the fields here, the fields are going to be, there is a co-governance model that Auckland Council and Ngāti Paoa will co-govern the fields here. But the day-to-day upkeep of the fields, the lawn mowing and everything else is done by Auckland Council and the great players. Okay? So, we're not getting this whole thing back. We're just getting on what's on that side of the fence line there. But it's beautiful in the summer. Also with the marae, our marae and their whenua won't come back to our iwi until our settlement bill has been read for a third time in Parliament. Once it has been read for the third time, then it is passed into legislation, and then the whenua comes back to us. So we initialed the deed of settlement 2 years ago. We heard the first reading last week. Now the bill goes before the Select Committee, the Māori Affairs Select Committee, and any petitions or any letters, litigation from people opposed to that land coming back to Ngāti Paoa, they go before the Māori Select Committee, Māori Affairs, and that's where it is the community gets to have their say, whether they are in favour or opposed. And other tribes also get a say in front of the Māori Select Committee. So we have our neighbours here, Ngaitai, who are opposed to that land coming back to us. So you have to understand that even Māori fight each other and we oppose each other. So Ngaitai believe that they have an interest in this land as well. They have a shared interest in this land. While Ngāti Paoa, we don't believe that. We don't believe that. And so we are wanting this land to come back. Now my students ask me, when will the marae be built, Matua? Will it be built next year, 2 years, 3, 5, 10, 15? We don't know until the third reading has happened in the House. Once the third reading has gone through the House and then put into legislation, then the Settlement Act kicks in. And then that whenua comes back to us, and then our tribe needs to sit down and try and factor in a plan on how we build the infrastructure to have a marae there. But the marae will be open for public use for everyone. So if you wanted a place to hire for birthdays, for funerals, you can hire that place. Okay, similar to how Ōrākei is hired. Now the difference between this marae and the marae in GI and the marae up on Tripoli and Panua is that the marae in Glen Innes here is a community marae. It does not belong to the tangata whenua, the mana whenua of this area. So the people of Ruapōtaka marae, yes, there are some Ngāti Paoa families who have been an integral part of the establishment of that marae, but that marae in town here in Glen Innes does not have the same status as the marae that will be built here. The marae that will be built here is for the people and of the people of this land. The marae in Glen Innes town centre, next to the library and Te Oro, was a marae established by a pan-tribal group of Māori. So you have to understand that Māori migrated, urban migration of Māori into the centres, into the town centres. We moved here in our droves for employment, and Māori families from Ngāpuhi, from Ngāti Porou, from Tūhoe, from all around the country, north, east, south, west, came here in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and they've settled here, and they've made Glen Innes their home. And they needed a place to congregate where they could practice Māori tikanga, where they could speak Te Reo Māori in a setting that was familiar to them. Hence why the marae here in Glen Innes, Ruapōtaka, was built. It was built as a pan-tribal community marae. So are they the Māori you're going to speak to if you want to learn about the history of this land? No. Is that where you take your directive from in terms of tikanga kawa of this land? No. Ka pai? So that it needs to be explained, because too many just assume that all marae are the same. No. So that marae, our marae Ruapōtaka here in Glen Innes, is a community-based marae. Built by people just like you who moved in and needed a space to practice their culture. So that's the point of difference between the marae that will be built here will be exclusively by the people of the land. The marae in Pamua, have any of you driven past Te Tira Hou? It's the teal-y, greeny colour buildings. Okay, that is a Tūhoe marae. That marae was built by the Tūhoe people. The Tūhoe people are from the Bay of Plenty, Whakatane, Ruatoki, right up into the Urewera. Kapai, and that tribe there have been leaders of Māori revitalisation of our reo. And so what they have done as a people is that they have created marae within urban settings, urban centres, as a place for their people to congregate. And so Te Tira Hou marae is built by Tūhoe people for Tūhoe people. The carvings at that marae do not sit on the land. The carvings at Te Tira Hou marae are up above, off the ground. Why? Because they are not the people of this venue. And as Māori, we never go and put a stake in someone else's land. Everyone understand that? Yeah. Hey. So as Tūhoe, they have remembered that this is not their whenua. So their carvings and their ancestors sit off the land, above. And that is a traditional Māori practice that whenever we go into, like when you go to Rome, do as the Romans do. When you come to GI Pamua, do as Ngāti Pāua do. Don't bring your ways here and implement your tikanga here. Ka pai? Yeah. Now there are some houses down here as well that will be returned to state housing, that will be returned to kaingaora homes, that will be returned to Ngāti Pāua. Along with the marae here, we needed homes for our people, because if you have a marae but you have no people to man that marae or to look after or take care of that marae, then it just becomes an empty building and a museum and a shell. So what's happened is that Concord Ave, opposite Tāmaki College. It's a cul-de-sac right opposite Tāmaki College, next to the Anglican Church on the corner. And in there, on our street and Concord, there are going to be 60 plus homes built for Ngāti Pāua families to live back on our traditional lands, homeland. And the people who move into those homes will be responsible for the daily upkeep of our marae. Because when you have a pōwhiri, you need a wahine, a lady, you need female folk to call people onto the marae. You need male folk to do oratory and speeches of welcome to our visitors. You need hands to make the food, to feed your visitors. You need hands to make the mattresses and the bedding and to wash the linen and all of that stuff. So hence why we are going to be building our homes with Kaingaora, TRC and Auckland Council, as well as Ngāti Pāua. And then there will be bridges built from Concord Ave across the Ōmari Stream so that our elderly can ride their scooters across to the marae. Because we need our kaumātua to lead us. And that's where we learn from. Ka pai, any questions? No? Kia ora.